Hello and welcome to Edupedia World. Now let's take a look at how we can use masks to cut out video. Before we took a look at how you can mask images, but now let's take a look at how we can mask moving images. So to make a quick example, in my living room and shot two small clips. So this is just, I'll just show you. There we go. It's a video clip where I just drop a ball. And notice that the ball lands on this side of the image. And then I've got another clip where I've got the same ball, so I only had one ball, and then I drop this ball on the other side, so on this side. And then what we want to do is merge these two clips on top of each other so that it looks like there are two balls in the video, even though I only have one ball. That sounded wrong, but one rubber ball. So let's just take these two video clips and drag them onto the new composition button, and it will ask me if I want a single or multiple compositions, and I want multiple. Boom, there we go. So here we can see the two video clips being shown together, and the reason we only see one is because, well, this video clip fills up everything. So yeah, that explains why. Let's just take a look at the other clip. First turn off the sound, hide the top clip, and take a look at the other clip right here. So you can see when I turn the first one on and the second one on, there's a bit of a change in the color balance, and also the camera has been moved just a tiny bit. I'm sure it doesn't matter, but we will see. I made sure to keep the camera as still as I possibly could. I only had it sitting on the floor, so I didn't have any tripod or anything. That would probably have made it better. And also you can see the white balance changes. This one is more yellow and this is more blue, so I could have set it to manual white balance instead. So how do we do this? Well, it can actually be done very easily. So we can see the ball moves on the right side of the frame, and it only moves this far over. This is the furthest that the ball goes. So on the top layer here, we can actually just create one simple mask, where we just take like the rectangle tool and highlight the the top layer, and just draw a mask just until around here. Press V and deselect. And now we can see that we actually have the same ball dropping twice. But you can of course see the seam here in the middle, and that's what I talked about with the white balance being a bit off. Yeah. Another thing is on this clip over here, if we just jump forward through the frames, you can see the shadow is getting cut off. So we're gonna have to change that, and it can actually be done pretty simply. So let's first address the problem with the white balance. And if you have followed some of the first lessons, then you will actually know how this is done. We're just going to use the curves, color correction adjustment, and then I will just go into the red channel, and then for the right clip, let me just turn it up a slight bit, and then also remove a little bit of blue. Just experiment with different color settings. I think this looks pretty pretty fine. As you can see, here's the difference. It was pretty blue, now it's more yellow, greenish. Yeah. So this is as good as it gets, and it's actually pretty close. So as you can see now, the seam is almost gone here on the wall, but there's still a seam down here, and we can actually very easily make this seam a much less noticeable. I'll just quickly move this up just a bit, this down like this. There are some settings for this mask that we can change. So there's the mask path, mask feather, mask opacity, and mask expansion. So the mask expansion, that basically enlarges or shrinks the mask. So it's a way to adjust it. Yeah. So this should show it pretty well. As you can see, the mask gets larger and smaller. Then there's the opacity. As you can see, that's like changing the opacity on the layer as well. You can see if I do this, works the same way. Basically just opacity. And then there's the mask feather, and that's the one I want to change here. That, like, the mask feather, if we hide the bottom layer, that will fade out the edges like this. And that really helps to blend two masks together. As you can see right now, it's really faded. I've got like 650 pixels that are being faded. But let's just show the bottom layer again, and then crank up the feather amount just a bit. Maybe let's say 15. And now if you look down here, I am not able to tell where the seam is. Only because I know it's there. I can see it a little bit down here, but on the wall I've actually no idea where it is. But there's still the problem with the shadow getting cut off. So if we watch the video through here, you can see the shadow is getting cut off, and that ruins the effect. So yeah, and then also here in the end, the sun kicks in over here, so that gets very yellow. So to address that issue, I'll just cut it off right here. So press N, trim come to work area, but we still have the problem with the shadow getting cut off. So that's the part I want to address now. So how can we do this? Well, if we go onto this layer and then actually just hide it, then we can see where the shadow is. We are still on this layer with the ball on the right, but we can't see it because we have hidden it, and that means we can now see the shadow here beneath. So you can see the shadow starts over here, and then it goes here and jumps over here, jumps up a bit, disappears, comes back, and then the shadow is around here, and then it goes off frame. So that means we want to so the bit of shadow that comes over here, that doesn't matter, we can avoid using that, but the shadow here is very necessary. So let's just create a mask that goes around here. Bam, there we go. This is a very rough mask, and well, that's because it doesn't have to be very precise. If we turn on the layer, we can see we haven't cut into the ball just yet. Then if we go one frame further, And take a look at this. We can see we have cut into the ball. So we could do this and change the mask to fit the ball, and that would make it a lot easier. But another thing we could do would be to just create a quick animation. So go into the mask number 2, and then on the mask path click on the stopwatch. So now we can actually animate it. So we can say on this frame we want the shape to look like this, where it has the whole shadow, and then on the next frame we want it, I accidentally moved the mask. On the next frame we want it to look like this. So you can see, if I show this layer, you can see how the mask is moving to help with the ball. And then let's look at the next frame. The shadow from this ball is now somewhere over here, so it doesn't really matter. And the ball hits again, doesn't show. Let's take a look at this ball's shadow. So we just want to now animate this mask to move out of the way of the ball that's coming from over here, and just kind of shape this to fit. So now it's moving into this position, and the shape is now going off frame. So I'll just move some of this over here to the side, and let's actually take the whole shape and move it. Oh, sorry. Take the whole shape and move it off frame. Maybe move this further back. And what we have done now is created a mask on this layer to the right that will show this guy's shadow. But as we can see, it doesn't. It actually adds this video on top, and that's because we have set it to add. If we set this to subtract instead, then we will see this shadow from over here. So as you can see now, when it falls down, we have got a bit of a problem. As you can see here, the first ball falls right onto this mask. So we actually don't want the mask to be there until this frame, because well, there's no shadow. So we can just keyframe this opacity. So on this frame we will set it to 0, and that should actually solve this problem. Now the shadow is on this side. Next frame looks a bit odd. We can change that. So as we saw with the Coca-Cola can, we can go in, refine this to fit all the way up to the ball, all the way up to the ball, and now this looks a little bit better. We're gonna mess up that part, but now it fits all right. You can see there's a bit of an hard edge, and we can fix that by adding few pixels of feather. Not go too overboard, but now you can see there's a bit of a nice edge here. You can't see where it goes together. You can see actually the shape moves out of the way way too slowly. But this just proves the point where you can use a mask to yeah, you can see where they go together here, and that also has to do with this video getting yellow because of the white balance that changes. We can maybe try and fix that by animating the curves. So at this frame we want the image to look like this, and then here in the end we actually want to change these. We want to remove some of the yellow. They are a bit more alike. Maybe I made it a bit too dull. This is very time consuming, but now I think I got it quite alright. You can see, maybe if I tighten this up just a bit. Let's just add a bit more feather. Let's say maybe 10 pixels, and take a look at the finished video. So as you can see, now it actually looks quite alright. We've got the ball that falls, and then yeah, the shadow drags a bit. We could have went in here and used a technique called rotoscoping, where for each frame, and I'll actually show this in the next clip, for each frame we go in and make sure that this mask fits the ball perfectly for each frame. Then we'll go to the next frame and then just make it fit like this. So as you guys can see, I've now gone in and refined the mask, where I, for each frame, as you can see on here with the keyframes, I went in and made the mask fit around the ball. So if I highlight this, you can see the mask that follows the ball, and this just makes for a much nicer animation, because this kind of stuff has to fit very nice in order for it to look believable. So I think this is quite alright. You could spend more time. I only spent like 10 minutes making this. So yeah, this is how you can one version of how you can mask video.
Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.